Hey everyone, welcome back to the I Believe podcast. We have an incredible guest today. We have Allan Finnegan. Welcome, Allan.
Hello, you okay?
Allan, for listeners who are just meeting you, how would you describe who you are?
It's very difficult. um, I'm a Baptist minister that ended up sort of stumbling into stand-up comedy. Ended up on Britain's Got Talent with you have the Americans Got Talent, and then got a cancer diagnosis that kind of flawed all that. I'm a family man. I've got two kids, two grown-up kids, and one grandson now, and two daughters married. But yeah, I, yeah, it's difficult to understand who I am, to be honest. I don't know who I am myself sometimes.
Well, being a comedian and a reverend, that is quite a unique combination. How did those two paths come together in your life?
Yeah, it is. Again, I didn't, it wasn't a planned thing that I done. I ended up becoming a Baptist minister almost by mistake, almost by being the last person available kind of thing. And then I ended up, because of that, I ended up having to go to theological college to learn how to be a minister of a church because I worked on building sites before that, just construction, you'd call it. And so I had I've been in church. I've been in the same church now for 42 years. So, and I've been the minister for 20 of those lately. But I had to go and learn, get properly qualified, shall we say? And so I was in what I would call a preaching class, learning to preach class. It's called homiletics, to give it its proper name. And they said that preaching as a mode of communication was finished. No one listens to it anymore. It's over. That might be just in England, by the way. But and I could, because one person with one microphone was a cultural oddity. They were saying it doesn't sort of happen anymore. And I'd literally been to see a comedian over here called Peter Kay, who's huge in the UK. I don't know whether you know him over there, but um, with 11,000 people after an hour and a half shouting for more. And he was literally one person with one microphone. So I totally disagreed with the lecturer at the time. That then led to conversation, and I ended up being given a learning objective. You get these every year, something that you're supposed to do instead of just your academic course. And my learning objective was to go on a stand-up comedy course and learn how to do stand-up comedy, and
Wow.
can compare and contrast preaching and comedy then to see what the crossovers were and the differences. And so I did that. And at the end of that course, it's only a 6 week course. I had to perform in a proper comedy club, which was at the time very terrifying and out of my comfort zone. So, and I had no intentions of doing comedy after that. I was just going to write this little essay that I had to write about it. But someone booked me to do a gig, only a small, like little teeny gig, like 10 people there. You know, it wasn't, this is no grandeur story. And then it just sort of carried on. Some lad I knew, he sort of just started booking me and him on gigs, and I was like, I'm not doing this. But he was just like, nah, come on, let's do it. And so I just ended up sort of carrying on doing it. That's how I got into it originally. Yeah,
When did you realize that you were funny? Did you always know you were funny, or did you kind of discover it along the way?
it's hard to know because you can be funny with your mates and in a crowd of people, and I'm actually really introvert. I'm really shy, but I think I mask that by being loudish at times when I have to be. I'm not sure, but I'd much rather just sit in a corner and not speak to anyone. That's my default position. But I was funny-ish, but it's different being funny-ish and being a comedian, if you get what I mean. So
Yeah.
I was always funny-ish, but because it's part of who I am, it was probably a defense mechanism at times. When you're working on building sites, it can get quite volatile sometimes, and so you need to defuse things at times. So I probably use comedy in them type of ways a little bit, or humour, shall we say? And so I never really, I didn't think I was dead funny like a comedian funny, but I knew I could. tell a tale, if you get what I mean, and have a laugh with me mates. But I never ever translated that into going on the comedy circuit and ending up on Britain's Got Talent and things like that. Yeah. So
Yeah, and what was Britain's Got Talent like? What was it like to be on a TV show like that?
it was it was a weird time in my life. It was I played the London Palladium, which is an iconic like theatre over here. But I was invited onto the show by the judges, and I went down to London, and it was surreal. I, I didn't apply. I would have never have applied because I'm not. I don't want to have that much confidence in myself to have done something like that. Um, and I went down, and the audition. It's a long, long day. The first audition day. You're only on stage for 10 minutes, but I was there for 14 hours, so it's a long time. All sorts going on, and and it was the most terrifying thing I've ever done, and the most exciting thing I've ever done, all at the same time, because I was on the London Palladium with 4,000 people. I forgot all the words I was going to say when I walked out on stage. The producers just said to me, "Just smile and wave, you'll be all right." I was like, "Right, yeah." And it's obviously an iconic kind of program in England, um, and all I didn't want to do was get buzzed off. I just didn't want to make a show of myself because the buzzers are incredibly loud. It doesn't come across on television how loud they are. They're incredibly loud. And the person before me had been buzzed off. They were running behind, so they said to me, "Yeah, let's just go straight on." I was like, "Oh, thanks." Now the audience is all like, not in the mood. Yeah. So it was terrifying, but it was really exciting and something I look back on that audition with that was good. I've got that. No one can take that from me. I've done it, kind of thing. The semi final was I got through to the semis, but it was COVID. COVID had kicked in. I did the audition in February, and then we were in lockdowns after that. And the semi final was in the September, and I had to do it to an absolutely empty room. So I had to do comedy to an empty room, and I just couldn't do it. I just
That's got
couldn't
to be
do it.
hard.
It
Yeah,
was
because you
terrible.
feed off the crowd.
Yeah, and they had like a big massive screen of people's faces in, but it was silent because there was a 7 second delay. So if I'd have said something and they'd laughed, it'd be 7 seconds later. So
Oh,
they couldn't pump that in. And there was only four judges sitting there, and it was terrible. It was really hard, but they made it look okay on the telly. So if you ever come
good.
across the clip, if you come across the clip, it looks okay, but it wasn't. It was absolutely awful to the point that when they rang me and said you didn't get through to the final, I went, "Oh, thank you."
Oh, that's funny. Well, I'm glad they were able to make it look okay when it aired, at least.
Yeah, they put laughter in.
Castle Biosciences is a proud sponsor of this I Believe podcast. Castle's innovative uveal melanoma tests provide valuable information about the risk of your eye cancer spreading to help you and your healthcare team individualize the management of your disease. To learn more, visit castlebiosciences.com.
So, Alan, when were you diagnosed with ocular melanoma?
It was not long after the Britain's Got Talent thing. So Britain's Got Talent aired in the September, and in the December, I was actually doing a flagging job for my mate. I was laying paving stones, shall we say, for one of my mates because I used to be a builder, so I was doing that for one of my friends, and I noticed my eye was like going darker slightly, my left eye, and there was a flickering in it, and every now and again, like a white light or something, that you'd end up turning, thinking there was something in your vision, and there was never anything there. But in the December, I already had an eye appointment booked for a diabetes check, and I thought, oh, I'll just mention it when I'm there. So in the December of 2020, just before Christmas, I went along. Had It's probably early December actually, because it took a couple of weeks to get to the ocular oncologist. I went along and I had the eye test, and they didn't find nothing. And I kept saying to them, "There's something wrong with my eye." And eventually, one of the because they weren't it was all lockdown stuff, and you couldn't really see the doctors and stuff like. But one of them eventually came to see me, took a few pictures, but they started looking at my other eye, and I was like, "No, it's not. It's not that eye. It's the other eye." They were looking at my right eye. And then they sat me down. They said, "We found something in your right eye. We found a freckle." And I'm like, freckle. What's a
Yeah,
freckle?
who cares?
Yeah, who cares? Yeah, I'm not bothered. Like freckle on your skin. Yeah. We're a bit concerned about it, they said. So they sent me to the Royal Liverpool Eye Hospital a couple of weeks later, and again, they're looking in the wrong eye. They're looking in my right eye, and it's my left eye that's giving me the problems. And eventually, I said, but they'd found something in the right eye, as I said, the freckle. Eventually, I said to one of the people who was just looking, I said to him, it's me left eye, There's something in that. And he said, oh, I'll have a look while you're here. And he looked, and he had a colleague with him that he seemed to be just like, I don't know, training up or something. And he said, this is classic tumour in the eye. And then he realised I was sat there. And so he said to me, oh, sorry, do you want to go out a minute? And he must have discussed the pictures. And then he come back, and I went to see the main consultant at that point, with nurses and stuff. So I knew it wasn't good. And I was on my own because of lockdown and things like that. I knew it wasn't good. And he said, yeah, we found a tumour in your eye, in your left eye, but we've also found another one in your right eye. Well, the one in your right eye is okay for now. It's only got 2 of the 6 markers that they were looking for or something. But the one in your right and left eye, we really need to do something with it. And so I was booked in just before Christmas to go and get plaque therapy, is it? I don't know what it's called, where they put a radioactive disc in the back of your eye. But my daughter was getting married on Boxing Day. And obviously I said, no, I've got to go to my daughter's wedding. So they give me an extra few days to do the wedding and then go in and get the therapy. And they're just monitoring the right eye. I guess still, I don't know. But I had the operation then. That worked. As far as I know, it was very successful. But I decided to get the biopsy.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to know which gene I had, and I don't know the name of the genes or whatever. But I wanted to know which one I had. And unfortunately, because I was thinking, it's just your eye.
Right.
It's only an eye. I'd never heard of eye cancer. Yeah. I'd never heard of, freckles in your eye or anything like that. It's only an eye. It can't be that bad. Your eye's only little, so the tumour's littler. So
yeah, just pull it out.
I mean, the worst case, you're going to lose an eye, aren't you? And he's already said to me, I can save your eye. So I thought. But then, yeah, when you get hit with the stats of when it metastasizes, I can't say that word. When you get hit with the stats of what the brutal facts of the stats, it sort of becomes a little bit serious. But obviously, it hadn't metastasized at that point. It did 2 years later. So 2022 around the Christmas time again, almost 2 years to the day kind of thing. Seems to always happen on my daughter's birthday. My daughter's birthday, in and around my daughter's birthday, she's the 7th of December. And I got told on the 7th of December twice now, that bad news, with 2 years apart. So, that's when I was first diagnosed and the treatments, etc.
Yeah, that's a lot. That is for sure a heavy thing, especially at the holidays. My mom was diagnosed on my birthday, which is December 21st. So we have a little bit of a parallel there with the Christmas time and stuff. And it definitely adds a layer of complication. For sure. It's never good, but it just is a little bit more.
Yeah.
So as a reverend, how did faith shape the way you process this experience?
At first, I was okay. I'm kind of a pragmatic-y type of person anyway. And I was okay because it's only an eye, all that kind of stuff. I was actually not too bad. I guess it shaped differently when I got the terminal diagnosis 2 years later. That kind of, it almost pulls the rug from under you, even as a reverend, if you get what I mean.
Yes.
It's not, you're not immune to them feelings and facts because, I mean, I guess built into faith is that God is good and God is going to kind of looks after us and has got our best in at heart and all that. That's not true. However, bad things still happen to people. Do you get what I mean?
Yes.
But no one's ever expecting it to be them in some ways. So it definitely it definitely pulled the rug a little bit out. I've thought about this a lot, and I've wrote a book, but I really went into thinking about faith and all that and what it means, because I've been trying to follow God for like 40 odd years, you know what I mean? So, and I came to the conclusion that I couldn't say there wasn't a God, and 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 that was a problem in some way, because if I could say there wasn't a God, then it was all just random chance and atoms and whatever, genes, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But if there's a God, it adds an extra layer of complexity into it. And I could not bring myself, and I've got to be honest, there was times when I wanted to bring myself to say it, but I could not bring myself, with after 40 years of trying to do this thing called faith, to say that there was no God, which then I then had to rethink my faith through a little bit with that in mind. So there is a God. This has happened. What does that now mean, and how does that mean how I sort of react and engage in whatever the words are with God and faith in general? And so it definitely reshaped my faith. It didn't destroy it. It had the potential to, but it didn't, because of that one problem that I couldn't say there wasn't a God. Yeah. Sounds
Yeah.
weird, doesn't it? It does sound
No.
weird, but yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think, so most people watching this are going to be ocular melanoma patients and their families.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you say to them about faith and hope?
Well, what it made me realize is God is bigger than my little view of him. That's what it made me realize. And my very sort of possibly narrow view of what that meant it was blown away during this time. And the outpouring of love and support I got from everywhere was incredible. And I just think God is bigger than I initially thought. And there's something real in there's something real in his presence and his care and love for you that is deeper than I would have acknowledged. I wasn't. I'm sounding like I was a bit of an ooh, everything's amazing, and I wasn't that way. I wasn't. I wasn't. Like shiny, happy people.
Right.
Holding hands. I wasn't that way. But this has given me a deeper depth, knowing that. So, for instance, I've read loads of the Bible. I've been, 40 years reading the Bible, kind of thing. But I noticed my focus was going on the kind of passages that were to do with grief, or the passages that were to do with Jesus actually dying on the cross and things like. But I was reading them slightly differently. I was viewing them differently, and it gave. It's really hard to say, but it gave me. I started feeling them more, and so for people who I've got a sign behind me which you can't see, which says today is a gift, and when it's a good day, it is a gift. You know what I mean? When you're sick and you're not feeling great, it doesn't feel like a gift. But the gift days are really good. I think to hold on to them, and I think there's a God there that actually does love us, all of us, whether we acknowledge that or not, in a deeper way than I would have said I previously understood. So for me, no one's without hope, and I've literally just been told I'm going to die in the next 2 months, and so on one level, I am now firmly just in the hands of that God, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that either way, whether that's a die, and I'm fully expecting that. I'm not naive, or something miraculous happens, which I've heard about in other places, but hasn't happened to me yet. If you get what I'm saying, and so I'm fully okay with both outcomes. I am. I'm, I'm, I'm weirdly peaceful about it, and I almost don't know why. I've heard people talk about a peace that passes all understanding when they're talking about faith, and I've always wondered, what do they mean? but I've never experienced that. And but this feels a little bit like that. I'm not saying it is. I don't know what it is. I feel like I should be more upset about it, but I'm actually really okay with the fact that I probably won't be here in 2 months' time. You know, I'm actually okay, and I'm actually still in hope. And so for people who maybe they don't believe in God, there's probably loads of people, and actually when you get this type of diagnosis, and that it would really shake it. But I just don't think they're without hope.
I love that. I think that's such an amazing way to look at it. And I'm so glad you're here to share this with us because this is really something that I think most people want to hear.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we all need hope, don't we? You know,
Yes.
we everyone in any not just what we're battling and stuff, but everyone needs hope. There's no hope, you know, you can't really. It's probably hard to function. There was something built into the biblical system in the Old Testament, and it was called a year of Jubilee. I wasn't going to say this. This has just come to me now. It was called a year of Jubilee. So I think it was every 50 years. What they were supposed to do, the Israelites were supposed to cancel all debts and restart everything. And if people had sold their land or because they got into bother or trouble, everything was restored. It was like a factory reset for your iPhone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything every 50 years that was supposed to happen. So, and the thinking behind it was that because it was every 50 years in your lifetime, you had a chance of being free again,
Wow.
and that's hope. So it was built in. God gave them rules. I'm not actually sure they ever did it, which is just shows you. But the concept there that God was setting into their calendar every 7 years they had like a break from harvesting fields to make them right. So it's a bit bigger concept. I'm not explaining it very well, but supposedly every 50 years was this year of Jubilee where everyone was free again. And when Jesus came and started talking, when they asked him, it says he sat and got the scroll of Isaiah. He actually read the passage about the year of Jubilee out. That was his first sort of public pronouncement that he was coming to bring Jubilee, freedom. And so I think in God's heart, there's something of the freedom that he wants for us, his children. I'm sorry to get all kind of theological and religious on you. I wasn't going to go there, but
That's
yeah,
okay. We explore all faiths on this podcast because we want
yeah, yeah,
everyone to feel welcome and to feel
yeah, yeah,
hope. And, you know, when you are navigating a cancer diagnosis, faith can
yeah,
help. It can
yeah,
definitely help. So, I mean, hope is huge and I love your message and I love everything that you're saying and you're right 100%. Without hope, what's the point of any of it? From day one, from newborn baby, what's the point of
yeah, yeah,
life if there's no hope?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Aura Biosciences is a clinical stage biotechnology company focused on developing precision therapies for solid tumors that aim to preserve organ function. Our lead candidate, Belsar, is currently in late stage development for primary choroidal melanoma and in early stage development in other ocular oncology indications and bladder cancer. Our mission is to grow as an innovative global oncology company that positively transforms the lives of patients. For more information, please visit us at aurabiosciences.com.
Well, let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about ocular melanoma. It's not something most people know about. What do you wish the world would understand about it?
Probably how serious it is, ocular melanoma, because I'm sure most people, when they're told something of it, just go, okay, like I did. I'm sure. I mean, the way
Yeah.
cancer and tumor and things like that do sort of trigger reactions in people. But I actually think there's not an awareness of how actually deadly it is.
Right.
And I would actually say that that probably leads to, particularly in England, I would imagine, lack of funding for research. There's because there's kind of I was told there was just no options. I went in. I was told to see the oncologist, and he just said, there's two treatments available, but unfortunately they're not available on the NHS, so you can't have them. I was like, oh, great, thanks for that. Brilliant, well done. And the only thing I then could do was fundraise for it. Is it Delcat? Is it Delcat? Is it? It's like a chemo saturation
Yeah.
um, thing, and the only thing I could do was fundraise for that. And you know I needed to raise £200,000 for 4 treatments, and it's like,
Wow.
you know, that's kind of impossible. I managed to raise enough for 3 treatments, which was kind of impossible as well. But due to the generosity of friends, family, people, and anyone, loads of people, it went a bit crazy for a while. The donation to my GoFundMe pot, and that. But then 3 treatments that I had with the chemo saturation, they kept me alive for the next year, relatively healthy. You know, I was actually slightly in a better place than I was the year before. But
Wow.
I've since had Kimtrek, is it?
Yep.
Tebi, I don't know what you would call it.
Yeah,
That
that's
didn't
what we
work.
call it. And it
Yeah,
didn't
that
work.
didn't work at all.
Mm.
And then I went on a trial drug recently. Don't know what it was called, Ocular 1 or something. Um, and that hasn't worked neither. So I was told just over a week ago that I had 2 to 3 months to live. So yeah, yeah.
Mm.
But I wish people knew how serious it was so that it could attract more funding. It would literally attract more funding and research because it feels like there isn't enough in that field because it's such a rare cancer that people don't really understand.
Yes, when we have the same thing here in the States, it's very rare. People don't know what it is. It doesn't get much funding. And then, do you also feel like people look at you and say, well, you look fine. Like,
Ah,
what's wrong with you?
absolutely. I felt like a
You don't look
fraud.
like you have cancer.
I felt like a fraud for the first couple of years. It's only like literally, I'm looking at myself in this, and it's like, wow, I've lost weight. um, but I felt like a fraud. I was going into like places, and I'm looking at people who are proper sick. You know what I mean? And they might be getting treated to be well, but I'm like, I just felt a fraud. And even doing the fundraising, we put lots of events on to raise money, which I appeared at, and I've done a little bit of a comedy gig at. They must have been looking at me saying, he's messing him. He's messing. There's nothing wrong with him. He's just doing this to get the money. You know what I mean? So I did. I felt like a fraud because you are quite healthy, aren't you? Until now, I guess I've been quite healthy until the last couple of months. Um, yeah, the treatment can make you feel sick. The Kimtrek Tebi
Yes.
made me feel sick. That made me feel quite sick, quite a lot. Um, but other than that, you you sound. You know what I mean? You're good, and your life is all right. You know, you can do stuff. You can go on holidays. I spent time with family, friends, doing some holidays while I still could. I can't now. I can't do any of them things anymore. So I'm really glad I did it when I could, if you get what I mean. And so I prioritised that. Went on about 5 holidays in a year. Never done that. And so yeah,
I think that's amazing. So you went on 5 holidays, which for US people, vacations, in a
yeah.
year. Where did you go?
I went to all different sort of beach resort holidays and sat in the sun. Took the family. They came along on a couple of them. All the family went with friends on one, and we done some short breaks in little cottages in England as well, by the sea. I love the sea. I absolutely love the sea. And so yeah, I went. We knew people from previous holidays that lived in different countries, so we went and seen them just to say bye, really, I suppose. And so it's been. I've had a good year and a half, even though I've been terminal. I've had a good year and a half when I've been able to do a lot of good stuff that I wanted to do, kind of bucket list stuff. I haven't got a very big bucket, but um, I, I was able to do stuff and build memories with the family and all that kind of stuff. And so, in one weird way, the last 2 years have probably been the best 2 years of my life.
I think that's an amazing message for other patients with not only ocular melanoma, but other terminal illnesses as well. I mean, to really live, a lot of people
Yeah,
don't ever do that in their
no,
life. And I think
no.
that's amazing. What an incredible experience.
It made me live in the moment more. We're always talking about it, and my 5 year plan ended up a funeral plan instead. So we're always thinking about the future, thinking about the future, planning for the future, planning for the future. I suddenly, with this diagnosis, I couldn't plan more than a couple of months. And now I can't plan more than a couple of weeks. Do you get what I mean? And so it made me live in the moment and actually appreciate the moment. I remember walking back not long after being told I was terminal. I remember walking down our street and it was raining and I felt the rain on my face and it was amazing. It was just, it was just amazing. You know what I mean? Simple, simple things, but I was in the moment rather than thinking about, oh, we've got this next year and we'll have that thing and there's this coming up. And no, I had to live in the now and the today, which was it's actually really good. And because I had an insurance policy, my mortgage was paid off, so I kind of had more money than I'd ever had in my life. So I could go on holidays, I could afford them. Do you get what I mean? And so I would say, yeah, the last 2 years, barring the last few months where I've been quite ill, because no one wants to be ill, they've been the best years of my life. I've got to say that it's been incredible. I'm off all treatment now, but the medication, I was worse, but they've tweaked the meds, and I've gone on steroids, and that's made a massive difference. Suddenly,
Good.
suddenly I could eat. Suddenly I could eat again
Oh,
without being sick, and
good.
keep stuff down, keep medication down, and so for the last 2 weeks, I've been, it's been good again. I want to be alive again, if you get what I mean. Prior
Yes.
to that, I can honestly say I probably wanted to die quite quickly because it wasn't fun. So yeah, it's all at this moment, except for a little blip today where I went out last night and I did my final comedy gig. I haven't gigged for ages because I'm not well enough. But I started on that comedy course. I did a gig for a fella called Brendan Riley. It was the first ever gig, and he asked me did I want to do my last ever gig for him. And so I did it last night, and it proper took it out of me. I was done in. And so I'm not surprised I was sick this morning. It's my own fault kind of thing. But it was something I wanted to do. Again, bucket list. Tick the bucket list off.
Absolutely.
And so I did that last night. Um, I've The day before that, I recorded my own eulogy, life
Oh,
story for my own funeral. So it's something I wanted to do again. And so who best to tell my life story than me, rather than some other minister that would probably know me, to be fair, talk about me. So I recorded that on Tuesday. Was that Tuesday? I don't know what day it is now anymore. Yeah, it's
yeah.
Thursday, isn't it? So yeah, I recorded that on Tuesday. So I'm ticking a couple of little things off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And there are a lot of people who pass with no warning. They don't know it's coming. Do you
yeah.
feel like that would be better? Or for you, or do you feel like this is better to be able to tie these things up and know it's coming? What do you think?
It's a really hard one because when you're sick, you want to fall asleep and not wake up. You want it to be quite sudden when you're feeling the illness, if you get what I mean, I think. And I think in some ways that would be better for me, but not for the family. But having said that, I'm going to totally disagree with myself now. Um, I actually think me being able to plan and set up for when I'm not here has been massive for me. So I've put my finances in place. I'm doing all the jobs, getting all the jobs done around the house that I never did, so that my wife doesn't have to deal with them when the time comes. Um, I feel okay to go because I've sorted it out,
Yeah.
and I've had time. I've had time with people as well, and I've had time to see people I haven't seen for ages. Lots of people have started visiting me in the last week. But also going and being able to see people who you've been part of your life at some point, and then you've sort of just drifted away, and it's been good to connect up with that. So the longevity of it for me has been good. However, sometimes when I'm not well, I wish it would end quite quickly. But I'm sure it's better for the family this way round. I think, because my dad died of cancer as well when he was 54, and so kind of I've been on the other side of this journey as well, and so I think having the time is better for family, and actually most of what I think now is what's going to be best for my family in this situation. What do I need to do to make sure they're going to be okay, and then that makes me feel better, if in a weird way. So yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's talk about something really exciting. So, you wrote a book. Tell us about your book.
I've written a book. It's out on Amazon tomorrow. It's been on pre-order and people have read it and people seem to like it. I'm actually quite surprised because I'm a dyslexic builder who ended up as a minister who's probably never read a full book. And now I've written a book. It's called I Didn't Ask for Any of This, Church Comedy Cancer. It's kind of my story through it all. And it, you know, and it touches on the faith thing a lot and how that changed and developed and what it did in me, particularly the cancer thing, but also the comedy thing. And it's a humorous book. It's a funny book. It does get a bit sad near the end, obviously. But yeah, that's out tomorrow on Amazon. And that was a cathartic experience for me, writing that book. It really was. I enjoyed doing it. It was so good to look back over your life and see the good, quite a lot of good stuff. You know, some things that you're not so proud of, I guess. But it was actually really good to look back and put it down. I wrote it to kind of leave a story behind, I suppose. I don't know. But I wrote it for the numerous people when I started on the comedy scene who said to me, I used to go to church, but I don't anymore because. And there was just like loads of them. And my head couldn't get round it at first. But I became, because I'm like a kind of unique comedian, a minister of a church and a comedian, I became the face of the church to these people. So I was the one they vented at about it, you know. I mean, not everyone has a cob on. And some people were just like, oh, well, just stop going kind of thing, you know. It's just boring, wasn't it? So stop going. But I became the person that they talked to. And so it's actually wrote to them people more so than a church type of crowd. I'm actually surprised it got published because it is quite funny and it's not very Christian. But yeah, so that's officially out tomorrow. It's available on Kindle now, and for some mad reason, it went to #1 bestseller on Kindle. There must have been a glitch in the machine or something, and someone's bought 6 of my Kindle versions, and no one's bought any other Christian Kindle version of a book in the last few days because I've got the picture to say I was #1 bestseller on Amazon.
Nice.
Which is funny, yeah.
No, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
so
We'll make sure we add a link to your book in the show notes and in the description so everybody can check out the link and go straight there. That's amazing. Writing a book is a huge accomplishment.
I couldn't do anything else. As my health went worse, my options of doing stuff so I couldn't go on holiday anymore. I wasn't well enough to go on holiday and do the things I wanted to do. I couldn't do. I've always done my own jobs around the house, and I couldn't do them. I had to get people in to do them. I couldn't do church anymore. I couldn't do stand-up comedy anymore. I just couldn't do these things. But I could sit with my iPad and write. And I had all these stories and things that had happened and funny things that had gone along the way. And I also had all the feelings of the cancer diagnosis and journey with that and how I processed that, particularly with faith in mind. I just thought, I'll write this down. Started writing it down, and then it ended up a book. Yeah. So I got a very, very small publisher, Broad Place Publishing, who kind of believed in me, a church-based publisher, who believed in me, and they said they do it. You know what I mean? They print it and that, which I was quite surprised at. And it seems when people read it, they actually enjoy it, and not just me mates. So if your mates enjoy it, you're like, well, of course you do, you know. But if people who've
Yeah.
never met you enjoy it, and I've had lots of thing on social media saying, "Oh, dead funny, poignant, you made me cry." All these messages coming through on social media and things, and some of them are off people that I don't know them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's blessed me in lots of ways in the last couple of months. It isn't actually out until tomorrow, but there was quite a few people got it on pre-order from my publisher. But tomorrow it's available on Amazon. Yeah,
That's
I did.
amazing.
Yeah, I didn't ask for any of this. It's Comedy Cancer by Allan Finnegan. Yeah,
That's amazing. I love that you took all of that and put it together and wrote a book. And to be able to see some of the reactions right now, I mean, that's got to just feel incredible.
it does. It's very humbling. As I said to you right at the beginning, I'm quite a shy person, and I'm quite an insular person, and I don't take compliments well because I don't believe them myself. When they say them to me, I'm like, nah. So to be getting quite a few people thanking me for the book and laughing and sending me bits, I can't believe you wrote that kind of thing or said that, is actually yeah, it does bring joy to me. It does. Even in my mad insular brain that says, no, Alan, it's going to be rubbish, you boot. No one's
That's
going to
amazing.
read it.
I can't wait to read it, and I'm very excited. So we will link this. This is going to be an amazing book. I can't wait for everybody to read it and then comment. Let it come back and leave a comment. Let us know what you thought
Yeah,
about the book. What else would you leave the community with as sort of a parting message as we wrap up?
I don't know. I guess we're all in the same boat, aren't we? In some ways, we've all got this. Well, a lot of us have got this ticking time clock. Um, but again, I would probably refer back to the hope thing that I went on about before, and the beauty in living in the now. The beauty in living in it's a gift. I started seeing it as a gift that I could live in the today and not really worry about tomorrow. I mean, even if don't forget, if I go out and spend all my money and get into a load of debt, I'm not paying it back. They're not getting a penny off me. Do you get what I mean? I won't do that because I want to set my wife and family okay. But I can live in the now, and that's a gift. For, the Bible talks about having, don't worry about tomorrow, only worry about today. You know what I mean? And it talks about God providing us for each day as we need it and things like that. And I've just that they're things that are just like, oh yeah, you read them and yeah, whatever. But having the gift of actually being able to do it, and a lot of people who are going through what we go through may have that gift. They might not. They might still have to do stuff to make ends meet and stuff like that. But having the gift of being able to live in the now, I think has been amazing for me for the last 18 months. Well, 2 years, but the last 6 have been a little bit rough. So I would say, if I could leave any advice, I would say take seriously the now, the present. Being, you know, being with your kids when they've done your head in. Be now try and appreciate that a little bit more, you know, that kind of thing. Really try and focus on this day. This is the day that's a gift. You know what I mean? The sign behind me, and so try and live in that because when you do, it's sort of freeing. I've found it, and I've lived. You know, I'm 58, and so I've lived life by the clock and by the calendar for so long that as I say, these last 2 years where I'm not worried about the calendar, really. It's been amazing. And so live in the now if you can. Live in that now. That and your life will ramp up in terms of the joy that you bring into it. Yeah, we've all well, some of us will have we've got the inevitability thing going to happen where we go off the cliff. But in the meantime, make it matter. You know, make it matter because it's good. It is good. Yeah, that would be my final kind of thoughts, I guess.
That's perfect. I think that's a great way to sum that up. And what an incredible and powerful message. So, thank you, Alan, so much for being here today and for bringing us all of this wisdom and insight and, telling us about your book. This has been an incredible conversation, and we're very grateful for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah, yeah. Thanks very much.
Oh, it was 100% our pleasure. So, everybody, please check out Alan. Are you on social media as well? Do you have any pages
I
you'd like
am
us to link?
on Facebook, Rev Allan Finnegan, I think it is. Rev dot Allan double L A N dot Finnegan, FINNEGAN. That'll probably do all the meta ones.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm on Facebook, yeah, mostly. I'm old, so I do Instagram, but I don't know what I'm doing. So yeah, Facebook, it's Facebook for me. Yeah,
Okay, perfect. Well, we will link that. We will link the book as well. So please check out Alan. Please order a copy of the book and come back and leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the book. And to everyone viewing, thank you so much for tuning in. This podcast doesn't function without you. We need the views to keep going, and
yeah,
we need our sponsors, of course. So a huge thank you to our sponsors. They are bringing you this free education and in content, so we can't do any of this without them, and we're incredibly thankful. So check out the sponsors' websites as well. Please go to our website. There's a button at the top to subscribe to our newsletter. It will have all the current information that you need, comes out once a month. And you can find some other resources on our website as well. You'll find a place to sign up for the local 5K near you. And then there's our Cure Companion program where we pair up an Naomi who's been in it a while with someone who's new. And we have a bunch of other resources. So please go check that out, sign up for the newsletter, and we will see you all next week.